And we're back.
Yep.
No, where were we?
We was talking about Roman Reigns. I like Roman Reigns, and he's far more enjoyable to watch nowadays than he was like a few years ago when he was first being a single star. Because everyone, of course, always complained that they were presenting him as the next John Cena, and they really were. But me personally, I think his character would have been better received if they treated him similar to how they did like Batista.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't really say much, but just goes out there and whoops ass. Because that's the kind of person Roman Reigns looks like. He's a big, strong-looking Samoan. Just have him talk shit whenever he feels necessary, and then just beat everybody up. And I don't think too many people would have complained as much as they have about.
Yeah, I agree with you because when they started doing him talking low, and then whipping ass, people still kind of booed him. But I think during that time, people already know he was going to be that guy, which I don't understand because of course WWE is going to have a guy, and he has the look, so why not him? That's what I always say. He has the look. You might as well go with him. He's real safe. And even though I'm not a big Cena fan, I like him more now than I did back then. Mm-hmm. But even though I'm not a big Cena fan, I get it. So I'm not as mad. But yeah, 16 times. Ooh. It's like, I don't want to see him break Ric Flair's record, but I would understand.
Yeah. And I go back to Roman Reigns. I remember listening to a video about an interview Paul Heyman was a part of. And he was saying that the main thing with Roman Reigns was that he's the right guy, but he came in at the wrong time. You know, he was really getting pushed as the top guy during that time period where Daniel Bryan was the guy everybody wanted. This was at the peak of Daniel Bryan's popularity, and seeing anybody other than him, even Rey Mysterio of all people, if you're not Daniel Bryan, they didn't want to see you be at the very top. And I think that's what happened to Roman too, is that he's not bad, but he did come in at the wrong time.
Yeah. So what you thought about the Women's Rumble?
The Women's Rumble, I enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as the men's. I remember I watched this one video, guy named Brian Zane, Wrestling with Regret.
Yeah, I subscribe to him on YouTube.
I was watching his video, and he brought up an interesting point that, you know, it was after a while, it was kind of confusing because you had the women, you know, rolling out the ring and laying outside of the ring despite still being in the Rumble match.
I did notice that a lot.
And I didn't notice it until they started doing that with Nia Jax. Nia Jax came in, was destroying everybody. The Bella Twins came back, knocked her out the ring. You know, she went through the middle rope and was out the ring for like several minutes, and then tried to come back, and then they knocked her back out the ring for several minutes. And I was like, this is rather stupid because she's still in the match. You need to throw her over the top rope in order to really get rid of her. You can't just we'll deal with you later, because there won't be enough people to deal with her later, and you'll get your ass eliminated. So I think stuff like that kind of, I guess, and I'll give them leeway because this is their first time doing this. Mm-hmm. So, you know, not all of them would fully understand what they should do, especially since at least a third of the women in this match are women who haven't wrestled in years, mm-hmm. or just have very minimal wrestling ability to begin with.
Right.
Because like people like Kelly and Tori Wilson came back, and although I was impressed with how they looked in their attire, they looked like wrestlers. Mm-hmm. But back in their primes, they weren't wrestling. So to see them come in and try and do wrestling moves, it's like, I give them credit for trying.
Especially Michelle McCool.
Yeah.
You could tell she was excited.
She was rusty. which, you know, again, I don't blame her because she's been retired for like the past 8 years.
Yeah.
She probably hasn't even thought about wrestling since she retired back in 2010. But I really enjoyed her in there, and I liked how strongly she was. She put in a good performance.
She did.
It was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed Trish in there.
Good.
I think that was a brilliant idea to have her come in at number 30 instead of Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. I'd have been pissed if Rousey was like there.
I was expecting it, so I wouldn't have been upset, and just how my mind was thinking, the train of thought I thought with what they were going to do, I wouldn't have minded if she came in at 30, you know, won the whole thing, and then challenged Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania.
Who do you think she's going to challenge? Because I think Asuka's going for Alexa Bliss.
I think it's obvious that Asuka's going to go for Alexa Bliss, and then that will still free up Rousey to go after Charlotte Flair.
Okay.
Because when you know, rumors were circling that was the matchup WWE wanted to do if Rousey was going to come to WWE anyway. So, you know, this way everybody wins. You can have Asuka, you know, win the Rumble, and she gets to remain undefeated in the process. We don't have to go with any technicalities that people may or may not buy into.
Mm-hmm.
She can still go on to become women's champion and stay dominant, and then you still get your money match with Rousey and Flair.
Right. And by what you were saying that you didn't know who was eliminated or not, you know, I was like paying attention, and then I realized, I was like, Kairi Sane got eliminated. And I was like, where did I miss that?
So that blew me.
That did blow me because I wanted to see her and Asuka. But she came out before Asuka did. But I did.
Kairi Sane came out early, but I did want to see Kairi Sane like hang in there for. I thought she would hang in there because in the Women's Rumble we had Adam Cole, Bebe, and even Andrade Cien Almas come in there. Almas was in there for most of that Rumble.
He was in there for most. I was
and
like,
Adam Cole lasted, you know, a long time in there too. And in the Women's Rumble, Ember Moon showed up and went the distance
with a broken arm.
With a freaking broken arm, and was going toe to toe with Asuka still, which was very satisfying. Although it breaks my heart to see her lose to Asuka again. But
I honestly thought she was gonna break a streak. But I think since, you know, Asuka got hurt, it was good that they made her move up to Raw. But I was expecting Ember Moon to end that streak.
I was too. That's what.
Yeah,
that was the similar feeling that everyone was getting, especially since Asuka was at that point in time, she was slowly starting to turn heel with how she cheated to win in the first match and how she was clearly becoming more and more arrogant as her title reign continued.
And then, okay, speaking of Asuka, what do you thought about that title? It wasn't a title match. The match she had with Sasha Banks on Raw.
I didn't get to see it because I only just watched the Royal Rumble yesterday. So knowing that, you know, I wasn't going to watch the Royal Rumble Sunday night, I avoided Raw and SmackDown like the plague because I didn't want to get spoiled, even though I kind of did, thanks YouTube.
Yeah.
But
I'm not going to lie, you should at least watch the because Raw, it was okay, but you should at least watch the Asuka versus Sasha Banks match because I think I think Sasha is turning heel. I think they're hinting at she's not there yet. And two, that was like Asuka's best match on Raw.
That's what I heard.
And three, Sasha Banks almost kills herself again.
I saw that spot and I was like, good
Ooh.
God, Sasha, please.
And you can see like her hips like getting caught on a rope, and then right when Asuka kicks her in the head, I said, she's gonna have a broken neck one day.
Oh my goodness, Sasha bumps like a mad woman,
Oh,
and it scares the hell out of me all the time.
It's that bump.
Like I thought she finally calmed that shit down, and then
Yeah, that bump. I think Paige was like, I hope that bitch neck was broken. Because unfortunately, I know they don't like each other ever since, you know, Sasha like broke her neck, or at
But
least put her on the IR.
that was another thing I really enjoyed in the Rumble was how much of a heel Sasha was behaving as when she was going up against Trish and then eliminated Trish, and then how she got the Bella Twins to basically act as her underlings for a few minutes, and it was lovely. I enjoyed it. She eliminated Bailey, which
Corey Graves is hilarious.
Corey Graves is the best. I especially love it when he talks about Sasha Banks. Oh, it's so.
He was talking about, I forgot the line, but when she threw Bailey over and he had something with the doing the stabbing her in the back, I cracked up. I said,
He was like, wherever there's a back, Sasha has a knife.
yeah, that was it.
And then he was like, Sasha will do whatever she can to keep the spotlight on her. It was just like, it's hilarious because of how true it is, despite the fact that they're portraying Sasha as a babyface.
Yeah, it's true.
Because Sasha Banks is all of that.
Also,
For real.
Also, I thought Stephanie on the commentary, and you could tell, this is how I know commentary should be really tough, because Stephanie, she still sound out of place, and I know she's been there for at least 20 years, and she still sounded out of place on that commentary table.
Right, so here
she has a couple spots, like what she did with Jacqueline, and like she won the women's title. How Stephanie won it, and she said, "I did that all by myself." I thought that was funny.
I thought that was funny too. However, that's one of my main complaints. Like, first of all, Stephanie McMahon didn't need to be out there, and I'm kind of getting tired of how Stephanie McMahon, whenever WWE wants to do, this historic first ever women's anything, it's always Stephanie McMahon comes out and announces it and pats herself on the back and feels so proud. And I don't like it because, first of all, Stephanie McMahon is the most dislikable character in WWE since her father. So the fact that she's...
And we like to hate him.
And we enjoyed hating Vince, but we just don't like Stephanie. Like, so seeing her there just irritated my soul. It's like, because she served no purpose in being out there. She barely talked at all during the whole match, which means she didn't really need to be out there. And then why they snub our girl JoJo like that?
I didn't understand that.
Had her replaced by Maria Menounos for ring announcing the entrance in the Rumble. I was like, why'd they do that to JoJo? JoJo's a woman. JoJo can ring announce the first ever women's Royal Rumble match.
And she's good at her job.
She's good at her job. And then listening to Maria Menounos made me cringe.
It did. Because you could tell she didn't know who was coming out.
It was like she sounded loud and unsure.
Yeah, she was like, time. Coming up, Sasha Banks.
Like,
and they booed her. Philly booed. Yeah, when you're in Philly, you better come correct because they will boo the fuck out of you. And then who else? Becky Lynch.
Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Like, she was trying hard.
You didn't even have to announce Ronda Rousey.
We know who that is. Her name is on the big screen. We didn't have to announce it. How did you feel about that, by the way? Because I've read online that, a lot of people feel some type of way.
About Rousey being there?
About, not that she was there, but when she showed up, because they felt like her appearing kind of overshadowed Asuka winning the match. And then I was on Bleacher Report, scrolling through them, and they were showing some tweets with Nia Jax and Nikki Bella, basically showcasing their displeasure with the fact that Rousey showed up. And now everyone's talking about Rousey, and we kind of just immediately forgot that the women not only main evented a Big Four pay-per-view, which has never happened before, but they've also had their first ever women's Royal Rumble match, which was won by Asuka and no one's talking about that anymore.
I sort of felt the same, but at the same time, I think everybody knew that Oscar was going to win. Like no, like even though like her undefeated streak wouldn't have hurt her, because Rusev was eliminated in the Royal Rumble during his undefeated streak, and he was like I've never been pinned or submitted, so he was still technically undefeated. So I thought they was gonna. I was like I picked Sasha. I'm not. I picked Oscar to win, but I was like if anybody else is gonna win, it's probably Sasha Banks. So, but at the same time, I think it was right because you could tell Oscar, because I thought she was gonna pick them, and then it was like Ronda Rousey came out, and then I'm not gonna lie, you and I was like, oh shit, she's really here, and I was like, and then because wrestling. Brian Zane said it too. He was like, it did kind of overshadow the moment because everybody's like, holy shit, it's Rousey. And then it's like, you just forgot these women just had their first ever Royal Rumble. I felt like they should have done that on Raw.
That makes more sense.
It's like, just have like her, Alexa Bliss, and maybe even Charlotte. It was just like, they come out there and it's like, before, because they also announced the Women's Elimination Chamber, first ever Elimination Chamber on Raw. Mm-hmm. So...
Which I thought was hilarious because Stephanie McMahon started by saying, oh, this is going to be all about Asuka, and then goes to announce, oh, by the way, we're going to have this match in 4 weeks.
So, yeah. So my thing
much
is...
for it being all about Asuka, huh?
My thing is, it did overshadow the moment, but at the same time, where was you going to announce it? You kind of, like, had to announce it there. Like, I think it was a lose-lose situation, and they chose the lesser evil. So, like, I did have a problem with it, but at the same time, like, I don't think you're going to remember, in the long run, I don't think you're going to remember Ronda Rousey debuting there. I think the Royal Rumble in longer time is going to be remembered more than Ronda Rousey debuting. Because if Ronda Rousey, like, gets her match at WrestleMania and she's bad, they're going to talk about it. So... Yeah. Where would you have put the Ronda Rousey debut?
So, okay. If I'm allowed to play fantasy booker here. So I understand, I think it was a good decision to have Asuka win the Rumble and keep Rousey out the Rumble because I'm sure it would have been very controversial. A lot of people would have probably been upset that Rousey showed up and won the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match. Mm-hmm. If that happened, I wouldn't have mind because it would set up the big money match between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania for the title. Mm-hmm. And then Ronda Rousey can get her ass handed to her by Charlotte Flair there, and people would be satisfied with that. That's to kind of make up for her winning the Rumble. And then on the Raw side of things, we would have the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber match, but we would have it to determine the number one contender for the women's title. That way you can have Asuka in it. Asuka can win it, and then she can go and face Alexa Bliss for the title at WrestleMania.
I like that. I'm just glad I'm getting my Shinsuke and AJ, though.
Yes.
I was like, because that's the match I wanted, and I think that match right there, and if they let them wrestle, which hopefully they do, they just let them wrestle, let them do their thing, this could go down as probably one of the greatest WrestleMania main events ever.
Yeah.
Because I still haven't seen the one they did in New Japan, and I know that one is really, really good because they was calling that match of the year.
And that joint happened on January 4th.
Yes. And they was calling that match of the year, and that happened early January. So one thing I told myself, before I watch Shinsuke and AJ in WrestleMania, I'm going to go ahead and watch that match in Wrestle Kingdom, just so I can, like, be with the times.
Yeah, because that match was great, and it's the match everybody wants to see.
It is the match.
It is the match everybody wants to see. People will pay to see AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania. I hope they go on last.
I hope so too.
Because, yeah, you still think they're going to do Reigns and Lesnar.
Do you really want to follow that? if you're Reigns and Lesnar, because I feel like, if Reigns and Lesnar, let's say if that does happen, nobody's gonna want to see that, really. But I feel like since that's their guy, they're going to push them. But as much as I love Brock Lesnar suplexing the shit out of him, by the way, he knocked Braun the fuck out.
Oh, man.
That thing was still... When I saw him knee Brock in the face, I said, ooh.
They immediately got up and...
Bow! and you could tell that shook Braun because he stumbled. I was like... I thought they was going to fight for real.
I'm surprised they went back to being,
professional.
But in that moment, oh yeah, those are some real shots right there. They were.
This is why I tell people, like, when they think wrestling is fake, I could just show them that one time. It's like, I would like to show, like, people who call wrestling fakes, all those shoots wrestling, like that one, and I said this before, it was like the Japanese dude, and it's like this real fat dude, and he was like no selling his shit. And then, like, the Japanese dude beat the shit out of him in that ring, left him bloody.
Oh,
have you seen that one?
I think I have.
Like,
if
you
I
probably
seen
have
it,
if
I've
I
heard of it.
Yeah, you probably seen it if I showed it to that thing. He whooped that man's ass, and his shit was not pretty. But it's just like I could not take my eyes off it because he was like giving him real good shots, and he was kicking the shit out of him too.
But I would not have Reigns Lesnar go on last.
I would. If I was him, I wouldn't.
No, because just look at the Royal Rumble. Nobody wanted Roman Reigns to win. Everyone wanted Shinsuke Nakamura to win. And then when they asked him, "Oh, who do you want to face?" everybody was chanting AJ Styles. Like that's clearly the match everybody wants to see more than anything else. Mm-hmm. Like, you can sell WrestleMania with just that match alone.
Right.
Honestly and truthfully, that's how badly people want to see it. So I don't think you should have anything. And the crowd's going to be hottest for that match.
Yes.
You're going to get the biggest reactions from that match, and nothing should follow it, because anything that does follow it is the crowd's either going to be burnt out, mm-hmm. or they're just not going to care anymore, right? Because they've seen the match that they wanted to see. So there's no, and now we're gonna get the match that we don't want to see.
I feel like if AJ Styles goes on and Shinsuke go on, and then the wrestler Reigns, I feel like people might walk out. That's how I feel. So we're gonna wrap this podcast up right now. Anyone has any last words they want to say? Tyrell.
I really hope AJ and Shinsuke go on last.
Ebony, it could be anything.
Oh, Jesus. Some people out here are crazy. Let's start 2018 off and keep it with nothing but good vibes and wholesome people, and not people that, well, you've heard the stories from earlier. But yeah, I wish AJ had something, but he left.
Oh yeah, he didn't. He'll be back next time.
Yeah, he'll be back. AJ will be back next time.
Yeah. And hopefully by then he would have seen the Royal Rumble, and we can get his opinions on it too.
Yeah. And after hearing today, I hope we all get married one day to someone that we love and appreciate.
And that loves and appreciates us.
And loves and appreciates us. Because like I said before, I don't cheat. Especially during this era.
Yeah, like, please don't, y'all. Cheating is not the way to go.
Because I know I'll get caught if I try. I'm not even going to front. You know what Kara told me? Like, she knows, like, her last boyfriend, I guess, he had a lock on his phone. So she, like, put his phone to the light, and you could see the smudge of the lines, and she, like, traced it and then unlocked the phone that way. And then I was like, that's fucking talented and scary at the same time. And then I had another friend that was in the Navy. And this one is funny because he knew he was cheating on his girl at this point. And They both have iPhones.
Oh my.
So she has she has an app where she can GPS track her boyfriend's iPhone. And it was in his car, in a parking lot at a hotel.
Oh
my god.
And when he told me
Got
that,
him.
I'm not gonna lie, I laughed in his face. I said, how the fuck you
How do you do that?
I said, and I looked at him, I was like, well, y'all still together. And he was like, yeah, this is why I don't cheat. and I hope in this generation we become a more faithful generation and start trusting people more.
Yes.
Yeah, keep your dick in your pants. All right, this is
Keep my dick in my pants.
this is You Know What? Let Me Just Say podcast, and we signing out.
Bye.